Well, hello. Good
Good afternoon.
afternoon. Good evening. Good morning, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us today.
How are you, Rose?
I'm awesome. I had to have it, man. I had to have it.
I was a little surprised. I skated in here literally with 14 seconds left. So kind of anticipated having a little bit of a break or a pause. Pause and intro.
No, we're going right to it, you guys. Right
I
to
know.
it. We got Bites of Wisdom here where we're going to be interviewing Michael Young. So you guys are going to be able to get all that you ever wanted about Michael. But first, we need to talk about something very special. And it's you, not you, Zane.
I was going to say,
You.
wait, it's definitely not me.
Not you, the use that is a watching on the use tubes. So whenever you guys like and subscribe to our channel, it allows more people in the world to see the cool things that we are doing here, and it lets us know that you are participating and you're present and you're interested in what we're doing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And as a way of saying thank you, not just Rose going, "Hey, thanks, guys," we also actually want to be giving you stuff, awesome stuff. So on our 1,000th YouTube subscriber, so when we hit 1,000, we are going to randomly draw from those amazing 1,000 people. Although I'm probably going to guess that people like me and you, even though I have subscribed. So I get the
Yes.
notifications even if I'm not here. We probably don't qualify, so don't worry.
Definitely do not. That is official no.
That's a hard no. So we will randomly from yous out there watching us. We are going to be giving away a backpack, a cool backpack. Oh yeah. Oh, see, there you
There we
go.
go.
You guys are on it. Boom, boom. Rocky Linux backpack that you can take with you and keep all your special things in there.
All of your Rockies.
All the rocks.
All
Oh,
Rockies.
yeah, all the rock.
Whatever.
Actually, where was I when I was in traveling around on vacation? There was some people like picking up rocks and putting them in bags, like from the little river lake that we were at. And I asked her, I was like, "This is so cool. What are you doing?" And she looked at me like, like.
Am I in trouble?
I'm not
They're
doing
going to turn
anything
me
wrong.
in.
This is just for our backyard. We need them. I was like, okay, take them, dude. You could take them. So yes, you want to go gather rocks for your yard. You can do that in your Rocky Linux backpack as well.
There you go.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to say about that? Oh, how we're going to notify the winner? Is that important? Maybe.
That would be important.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop sharing that now. Sorry.
Awesome. It was beautiful. Yes. Okay. So we're going to announce live at the beginning and end of that special webinar once we hit 1,000. Where are we at right now? Do you have that open? I do.
I
893.
So close.
Boom, 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 boom. All right. We are super close, you guys. This is very exciting. It's coming up. So share this with your friends and everywhere that you can so that we can get that backpack to a special lucky winner. So before an end of that webinar, when we hit 1,000, we will announce the winner. We will tag them in the comments below that webinar. And then we're also going to reach out. I mean, depending on the information that you guys have made public, the winner makes public. We'll reach out to them via email or LinkedIn or Twitter or however we can. So just keep an eye for that.
We will find you. We'll find you.
We will find you. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So I think it's time, man. I think it's time to introduce the man of the half hour.
There he is.
Hey guys. I don't know if I'm the man of the hour, but I'm here.
I feel like it's been too long. I say that every time I see you now. It's been too long.
I know. It has been a while.
It's also been several years now. It's hard to believe.
That too. Time has flown by.
Wait, what does that mean? How long have you been at CIQ, Michael?
I'm already over 2 years. So this June will make 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he was here before me by several months. He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're going to start calling me the old timer.
I think we already can, right?
There's others that have been around longer than me. So
Yeah, there's not many though. It's awesome. Well, welcome, Michael. It's good to talk to you.
thank you. Same here.
So I know we're going to get into details, but do you want to just kind of do a hello and tell the folks what you do at CIQ and who you are?
Sure. So as you can already see on the screen, I'm Michael Young, and currently I am the IT director of IT here at CIQ. So that's just run a small department. Shout out to my team. Have Norm and Jodine part of the team, and then we have our VP Steve Moody too, who's part of our team as well. So yeah, great team that we have working together, helping the company grow. And as every department has new projects, takes on new things they have to do or changes, and if they need IT resources, we're here to help facilitate that.
It's fantastic.
Awesome. So it's an internal IT thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I first started, as we were talking about, I was more on the customer support side. So working with the customers, helping solutions, install solutions at company sites. But as the company has grown, had to change roles. So yes, now I'm focused more on internal IT and helping the different departments here.
He was also helping me give demos to customers. He used to do it all.
Yep.
He used to do it all.
Whatever it took, whatever
right.
was needed, jump in there.
It's awesome.
Okay, so this is like a side note, not necessarily what we were talking about, but seeing that you kind of started doing both, right? But you were like customer facing and internal some stuff, and now you're like more focused just on internal stuff. Is that awesome? Like, is it easier to deal with us? I'm gonna go ahead and just probably say no.
I'm answering this question.
And the show is over. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think both. Like when you say easier, I think every role has its own challenges, but the enjoyable part is working with whether it's a customer or working with my fellow employees, right? Our fellow teammates here. It's enjoyable getting to work with everyone, understand what they do, and then see what can we do to make your job easier, right? That's what we do here at CIQ, right? We're trying to help others get their jobs done, do what they need to do, help them with their business needs, their IT needs, or whatever their needs are, right? That's our job here at CIQ for our customers, but then also helping our own internal teammates get that same resource that they need. So I think both are enjoyable, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, good. It takes a special person to enjoy customer service. So thank you.
And Michael does it well. And we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Demanding group of people.
I mean, if you can see our internal Slack, it's like, IT, I need this. IT, what's going on? IT.
Yeah.
Give us all the
it's
things.
Just part of the job. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit here. So we've heard a little bit about your early days with Tandy 1000 and basic programming, right? So can you take us back to those moments and share how these things ignited your passion for technology?
Yeah. So Tandy 1000, I actually, the more I thought about it, I think things started a little bit sooner than that, but it wasn't necessarily centered around computers, right? It was more or less, one nice thing was my dad was into technology as far as what, he had available. When I say technology, I'm thinking just cameras, right? Cameras back then they were not digital, but I remember at his camera store, he was bringing home camcorders back when camcorders were starting to be a thing, that you could have a portable camcorder and being able to mix shots from different tapes and create your final VHS of your whatever it was. So I remember seeing that the connections, the equipment coming home, because he would need to learn that. He would do training programs. Anyways, so I sort of remember that vaguely, not to dwell on that. But that's where the Tandy 1000 sort of comes in, because right next door to his camera store was a Radio Shack. And I remember going in there sometimes as a kid with him and just being like, wow, all this electronic stuff. One day he brought home the Tandy 1000 to our home. So that was our first home PC. And of course, it's just, you want to understand this thing. This is new. It's got a screen. So just that's what I remember. I remember playing games on it with him at night, me and my brother. Uh, Games like King's Quest, Space Quest, those old Sierra games. Uh, I remember him upgrading it so we could get a whole 640 KB of memory, and watching him do that, So it was cool because you got to see, open it up and see a little bit of what's going on inside. So those are sort of the memories I have. I eventually inherited that machine and used it for doing school reports, book reports. We had the old dot matrix printer, so we could print it out and look all fancy at school, because not everybody had the printers at the time. So, but anyways, I remember that. And then that eventually led to other computers, right? So we eventually got a 286 computer in the house. I remember a friend coming over and sharing some programs that he had with my dad and games, and the Q Basic, right? I had to try to remember when I started looking into a Basic a little bit more. I think it was more around the 286. I think I had said at one time the Tandy, but I think it was a 286 Q Basic. There was a game of gorillas, right? And the point of it was you had two gorillas. It was a 2-player game. Everybody took their turns, and you had a banana, and you needed to lob the banana and try to hit the other gorilla or knock. I think it was the buildings would explode, but you're trying to get it to knock out the gorilla on the other side because they were exploding bananas. You had to put in the speed, the angle. Anyways, that was written in Q Basic, and so when you started it up, it was the editor. You could see the code to run the game, and that was intriguing to say, wow, just this is what creates that game that we like to play. So that's sort of what ignited that part of, hey, I want to find out more, understand this more. And then eventually we got a 486. Didn't have a CD-ROM kit, so we added a CD-ROM kit. So we got that, open it up, see what's inside. That's when we had our first encyclopedia on CD-ROM. Anyways, I don't want to bore everyone with all those details, but that's sort of the progression of wanting to understand how this works, what makes it work, and digging into understanding it better. I mean, I have more stories, but I'm not gonna
Do you remember the hard drive size on the
bore
486?
everyone.
Because I found mine the other day. I found the first hard drive I had on a 486 machine. Do you remember how big it was? Yours?
I do not know.
I was super excited when I got this thing. It was 800 meg. That was huge. I was so excited. Anyway, it's a long time ago.
I think I remember running to a local computer store once and buying a hard drive to upgrade our space. It wasn't much. It was maybe 60. No, it wouldn't have been gigs back then. But it was
No.
pretty small
Unless you had a
compared to
lot
now,
of
but it
money.
was like, yeah, exactly. I think I spent maybe $100, which back then was quite a bit.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's awesome. So what has it been, Michael, for you from the tinkering till today? What are those milestones that really drove you to get where you are today?
So sort of like the whole journey of wanting to understand how things worked. Part of that journey was helping my dad too. Like, even he was the one teaching me the technology in a sense, how it worked from a basic user standpoint. At a certain point, I started helping him to do things. So I remember those little things. Milestones. My first job out of, well, even before getting out of high school, uh, there was a local machine shop where my mom worked, and would go over there and sometimes help them out with their under simple stuff, simple technician, IT support type of help. Um, but then eventually, my first job out of high school was, thankfully, a friend of ours. He happened to notice I helped him with something on his computer, and he was like, "You know what, Mike? You seem to have a little bit of a knack for this." So he said, "You ever? Would you think about coming to work at my company?" Back then, it was big to rent computers, especially for conferences. So, and being here near Boston, uh, there was conferences all the time coming in, and so they would rent from my friend's company the computer equipment that they needed to demo their software, show videos, whatever it was they needed, because laptops were expensive back then. So a lot, we even had folks that would rent laptops from us to go on a business trip. So um, he offered me a job. So that's sort of where I got started, and they started teaching me different things. Eventually, I was able to use some of the things that, because it was a hobby, to not a hobby, but it was a passion for me, right? So it wasn't just work. When I was home, I was learning, how do I do this, how do I do that. I could then come back to work and say, hey, I think we could do this a little bit more efficient. And then he gave me the reins, the ability to do that, and improved even our processes when it came to checking in that rented equipment, where it would take us a good hour or two to check it in, down to 15 minutes. We were able to get it down. So um, that's a milestone, right? Out of high school, being able to do the work with what you really enjoyed doing. Um, Eventually, he sold the company. I worked for Circuit City for a little bit as a computer technician. Again, same thing. Normally, they would hire someone that's got their certifications. Um, they actually had me come in and said, "We're going to give you a test, see if you really know your stuff." And so they had their top technician test me out on different things that they see there. I don't know if people here remember Circuit City.
I do.
Yeah.
I remember the catalog, man. I looked forward to the catalog.
Yep, exactly. So they tested me out, gave me an opportunity to be a PC technician, because they said, okay, we'll help you get your certifications. So, anyways, I don't want to go through my whole resume, but but those are things that stand out. Being given opportunities to demonstrate what I knew and demonstrate what I enjoyed doing. Right. So, fast forward, my job prior to CIQ, uh, again, it was opportunities came up. I was doing volunteer work, so I wasn't necessarily doing IT stuff. Uh, I had lost my IT job, so I picked up a job temporarily, just to make it through till I could find another. And at that job is where they were having IT issues, and so I helped out one day when the boss wasn't around, and he heard about it, and he was like, "Mike, you know something about IT?" Yeah. I'm like, it's on my application. So he started throwing little things out at me. And that's just that. From there, it blossomed into where, worked my way up at that same company to where I became the VP of IT there, and just watched the company grow as well. Right. So we went from having machines there at the office, servers at the office, to being in a data center, co-located in a data center, to having two data centers we were co-located in. So, anyways, it's just it's been some years. So, but those are kind of like milestones there. Not even touching the open source side, right? But
Ooh.
And you had it
just
all then,
different.
because you were touching phone systems, networking,
Yep.
servers, data center, telco, all of it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had old Avaya phone system that at some point I was able to get us off of that system, all to a fully open source PBX. So we built our own PBX. Was able to get everyone off of those phones, the old phone system, onto the PBX, the open source PBX, all IP based instead of the old analog based, digital / analog based phone system. So yeah, you're right. I was touching every piece there at the company.
It's fantastic.
So tell us a little bit more about your relationship with open source and open source projects, and maybe a couple of the, I mean, you kind of already touched on one, but maybe a couple of the other, open source projects that you've been a part of that are special to you.
Yeah, I was trying not to jump ahead. So
Got it. We're in a good flow.
You're good.
yep, exactly. Yeah, so one of the things that helped when you're a smaller company, right? You're doing everything on a shoestring budget. So you're looking for ways that, okay, the company has this need, but it has a limited amount of resources, right? So that's where I had already been looking at operating systems, open source operating systems. And I actually was given a computer at that job saying, hey, my friend says we might be able to use this computer. Can we set up a file server here in the office? Get off of our old, they had a Windows NT machine they were using as their file share. And so, there was even, was it Windows NT? I forget. There was some limitations involved on that machine. Maybe it was not even an
There were a
NT
lot of
based system.
limitations of Windows NT. Those were the days, Michael.
Yeah. Yep. So he was like, can we create our, file server? So, yeah. So I took that system and Samba was what I set up and moved all our data over to it. Great. That solved that problem, right? Then it was, okay, we're having issues with a database server because they were using Microsoft Access and having the whole office access that one file. And that doesn't work very well. So crashing a lot. So I said, you know what? I think we can fix this. We went to MySQL, right? So set that up, moved everyone over, still used Access for the forms, but the backend now was MySQL. So that sort of was where things started progressing. Eventually it was, okay, we're paying for this web hosting site, but we want to add to it. We want our customers to be able to connect and download their digital recordings. Can we do something there, Mike? Now you're introducing Apache web server and so things just started snowballing from there. So as far as like projects, I hope I didn't go off track here on the question.
No, you're good. You're good.
So that's where kind of open source started to be introduced. Yeah. So,
So you mentioned several different open source projects that you've worked with over time. So obviously you were drawn to those projects for some reason. Open source being something you like to learn. You can learn from open source. You can see the code and play with it. But something in there had to have been a rewarding experience to make you continue to do it. And then how did that lead you to CIQ?
Remember that QBasic program with the gorilla game? Being able to see, go in there and kind of mess around with it a little bit, see what happens. That sort of occurred, I want to say, where I started contributing back because, up to that point, I was consuming all the work that everyone was doing. But I was like, I need to contribute back. I need to do something back, right? It's helping me. I need to help back. So one of those projects I started where I really became part of the community or felt part of the community was had to do with the open source PBX called Asterisk. And there it just started out with simple helping people out, right? Answering first, I was asking questions, and then I was actually helping others out with their questions to where, okay, this is not working for me. This is crashing. I need to fix this. Let me see if I can go in there and fix this, right? So I had some experience already with C coding, and so I said, let me see, just let me experiment. What do I have to lose, right? And so I was able to go into the source code, and I was able to start putting in some simple fixes that were benefiting me, but then contributing it back upstream to the project. And what a good feeling when your first, patch is added into the code base. It's like, wow, that's so awesome. And so then you want to do more. You're like, okay,
That's really
I
cool.
want to do more.
The dopamine hit.
Yeah, and you start doing very small, simple patches, but then you go, okay, now I'm gonna do bigger until where you realize you've contributed um some significant. Sometimes it's very small, but sometimes it's very significant parts. And it was mainly the Asterisk project is where I did a lot of those commit changes. I forget if it was version 12 or 13. Not as much as others, right? So I don't want to say I did a lot, but that was a significant amount of time I put into that one. Um, there was even an old bug. I just remembered there was an old bug in the code that had been there for a while on the issue tracker. And I remember spending some nights trying to figure it out. Finally was able to figure it out and contribute it back. And yeah, it was like that was a point when some of the developers on the project were like, "Hey, you figured that out." So they started trusting me a little bit more with more changes. So that's the one project that kind of stands out to me.
Very
You
nice.
know, I would love our behind the scenes beautiful people to take that and make that a short so that we can put it places, because seriously, people there's an intimidation factor in the open source community, right? Like sometimes, I mean, depending on the project, it's really big, they're not really sure how to do it, what to do, you kind of got to learn all the different things, and it can be very overwhelming. So just that little way that you described it, of how you kind of like dip your toe in, you check out what has already been identified as a bug, you can dive into the code and kind of figure it out, and then contribute it back. And then that's how you begin to get noticed. Like, a lot of people ask me exactly that, like, how do I get involved? How do I help? Like, how do I get my face known? I'm good and I want to do it. Cool, show us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, get in there. So specifically, CIQ has several open source projects that we, provide additional value on top of, in terms of customization and or support, and different things like that. So specifically, Rocky Linux, Aptainer, Werewolf, Ascender, those are all projects that we are very intimately familiar with, among others, but those are the ones that are really at top of mind for us. So anytime that any of you guys out there can get into that code and check out what's going on and things that have already been identified, like, that's a great way to get involved.
Definitely. Good point. Definitely. That's you hit it right on the head. It is intimidating at first. But once I every contribution in an open source project is very valuable. And sometimes you feel like, oh, that's nothing. It's insignificant. No, it helps. It helps somebody. So every contribution, whether you start out small with asking asking questions or helping answer questions, it eventually then snowballs into bigger things that you can help out with. And don't be afraid. Um, I'm guilty of it, being afraid to jump in. But that helped me. That experience helped me. For instance, with I helped out a little bit with Werewolf when I first started here, right? With going through the code base, making some contributions here and there where I could, because again, it was okay. This is a great product. I love it, right? And I want to help fix the little things that I'm finding to be kind of quirky. Let me see if I can go in there because it's going to help someone else down the road. So definitely good point.
So how did you
Exactly.
get from all of that? How did you get to CIQ? What brought you
So
here?
again, this whole journey, right? Open source. I was using CentOS, at the company. Our infrastructure, everything behind the scenes running on CentOS. Asterisk was primarily targeting CentOS. So the announcement that was made shifted. I was in the process of starting to plan out moving to 8 in the company. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? And so that's where, trying to figure out, okay, what's going on, what's going on in the community, right? And that's where, okay, you had Alma, you had Rocky Linux. So I started checking out the 2 different communities, and I landed on the Rocky community, and seeing what I joined the Slack. Yeah, I joined up on Slack, see what's going on. Joined immediately the development channel to hear the chatter, what's going on, and that's where started again, not being afraid to jump in and say, where can I help? Because I've already was at my prior job, because of security and compliance, not having development tools on the production servers, I had already started doing packaging, RPM packaging, and that's how I was distributing using Ansible, distributing and installing software and updates on my servers, instead of the good old days of download the source code, compile it right there, and I'm good to go. So I thought, okay, we're trying to figure out how to build Rocky, right, from the source code that's available. So I said, let me give my shot. I was watching what they were working on. Let me give it a shot. I'd go over, see if I could figure it out, start saying, hey, did you guys see this? Did you guys see that? And so I started working with Skip. So, Skip, Neil, Lewis, they were all in there. Mustafa, they were all in there. So started doing what I could. Stay up some evenings after work. Okay, we're going to figure this out. Skip will put together a list of what he was figuring out. We tackle it. I sometimes start at the bottom of the list. He started at the top. We start trying to figure out, how do we build these packages? What's missing? What are the dependencies that are missing? So that's how I got into Rocky. Now, to answer your question about CIQ, is Greg is also in there. Greg Kurtzer, our CEO, he's also in there, right? CIQ was starting to grow their customer support department. And so Greg is looking for potential candidates on LinkedIn, and he came across my LinkedIn account. And I had it marked at the time, interested in opportunities, or can't think of the exact
Open
term
to
right
work.
now.
Yeah.
Open to work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So he immediately, through the Rocky community's Mattermost, said, hey, is it true you're looking? Yes, I am. It's like, well, it's funny thing is you popped up and I said, I know this guy.
Mhm.
And he said, so that's where things started as far as applying and coming over to CIQ.
I think there's several lessons in that. Just being involved, you never know who sees it and what opportunities
Mhm.
going to come from it. I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
best way
it's
to
been
get noticed, be helpful.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
I was,
Wonderful.
again, I'm not, thank you for everybody that's contributed to open source, right? But I don't want to just be a taker. I want to also give back something. So yeah, just jumping in there, and then you make connections, get to know some really good guys, good people. And from there, other opportunities come along.
So that kind of brings up a point of chaos. Right? It's a bit chaotic, right? You got like the open source, you got all of your projects, you've got all the different ways that things come together. You're the director of IT, right? There's lots of different tasks and things and people and initiatives and priorities that you kind of got to keep organized somehow. So how do you do that? Give us a tip on how you stay productive.
Well, I think it's a constant battle. I still haven't figured it out 100%. Just when you think you have things under control,
Yep.
something throws you off. The main thing that I try to do is take deep breaths, and just go, okay, I got to tackle things one at a time, figure out everything's a priority, right? But which is a higher priority, you
Everything
know?
is a priority. That's fair. Yeah.
Exactly, and try to just communicate, one thing I'm trying to get better at myself is, "When do you need this by?" "Oh,
Mm,
I don't need it to," because a lot of times I'm not told that, and it sounds like I need it now, and you go, "Do you need it now, or can we," most of the time I don't say it that way, but most of the time, if you say, "When do you need it by?" You're given a date that's a little way out.
mm,
Okay, so then you put that on your list. Okay, we'll get to this by this time frame. So it's just, I think, just trying to prioritize things properly helps to keep things under control and not get overwhelmed. Because when you start looking at all the work to get done, if you focus on that, you're just gonna get overwhelmed and get kind of paralyzed. So
yeah. Take a
And
nap.
no, nobody can just now say everything I need it right now. No, just preempted. He gave
this
you the
wasn't
secret.
meant
No.
for.
But that's really powerful because I mean that goes into like relationships with all human beings across everywhere, right? Like the spirit of curiosity and just asking for clarity. Like sometimes we assume just because somebody says with an intense voice or they're on Slack and you're perceiving it as intense that you don't actually know what what kind of priority or timeline that they're on. So just asking. It's like the gems of life are so simple. Be helpful, ask questions. It's
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Communication. My wife always says the majority of the problems are communication problems.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. So, Michael, let's talk about downtime. So, outside of work and outside of the chaos of taking care of us, what do you do outside of tech? What are your favorite hobbies? What do you do to unwind?
So outside, so this is something I have my wife to thank me for. I mean, I have to thank my wife for, I should say. I said in reverse.
Uh
Thank
huh.
her for, she always reminds me, "Hey, you need to disconnect. You need to step away." So, favorite things outside of work is, well, when we have the opportunity to take trips, right? Sometimes it's a quick weekend thing. Um, Over Thanksgiving, we went up to Canada, right? So quick trip there. Um, December, we took a quick weekend trip to New York, see some friends. In the past, we've traveled to other countries, so that's something that has been very enjoyable, especially after the pandemic and being cooped up in the house. It's been nice to go see new things. Um, One of the hobbies I would like to get back into is photography. I was starting to do more with photography. I have a bunch of shots that I need to go through and, you know, get rid of the ones I don't want to keep. But um, I did find that very enjoyable because it's a challenge to, try to get the right shot, tell the story from what I'm seeing and trying to capture it on the camera. So I think that's something I enjoy. Uh, my son go play basketball. We haven't done that lately, but that was something we were doing at one point with a bunch of friends of ours. So I get
How old's your
out.
boy?
He's 14.
Me
Yeah, almost
too. I
15.
have a
Yeah,
14-year-old boy that
yeah,
plays basketball. That is a very interesting age.
yep, yeah. He's now into going to gym. So uh,
That
I was doing I was doing
Nice.
that a little bit with him um, until there was a lot of stuff going on the last couple months. But before that, I was doing that with him in the evenings. Go to the gym. So
Very
um,
cool.
so yeah. So uh, that's some of the activities outside of work. Besides home
Thank you.
projects, I don't know. I find them enjoyable because it's a break from the screen. So
so like building things or I don't know, just like a variety of stuff. Like I
yeah,
feel like I'm like, what
yeah,
countries have you been to? What does your son like to eat? What projects are you making? Like I want to know it all. We don't have
yeah.
all
We've done some home projects here. I'm not the fastest at them because I squeeze them in, but I enjoy them because again, it's something to take my mind off of things and kind of a de-stressor. So we've been doing stuff like the latest project I'm working on is our floor, hardwood floors in our house. So,
Well, I imagine that's not really something you want to take your time on,
Yeah, no
quite
kidding.
frankly. I don't know if your wife would agree in taking the time on that.
yeah, let's see if she doesn't come popping in here. She'll be on the same page with you. She's being very, very super patient right now.
Oh, that's awesome. That is beautiful. Yes, I know what it's like to have a floor that is undone. There was a time that we thought it would be a good idea to take all the flooring out completely and then paint the cement.
Mhm.
That was not a good idea. We
Yeah,
had no idea what we were doing. It's like chunky and wavy and like kind of weird, but in theory, it was nice.
exactly. It was a good idea.
Exactly. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the things that you like to listen to, like podcasts and YouTubes, like anything that you recommend that has been inspiring to you in your work.
hmm So I've always tried to stay up on the latest, right? Know what's coming down the road. Um, the latest, I gotta say, one of the I enjoy listening to in the morning. It's a kind of a quick news, but he goes in a little bit of detail. I don't. It's now I'm drawing a blank, right? It has to do with cybersecurity. So lately, I've been keeping up a lot on cybersecurity topics. So usually it's part of my daily listen to the news, what's going on. So that's one thing. He's based out of Canada. He goes over the latest cybersecurity, but it's not just the headlines. He actually digs into it. And here are some tips. Here are things they could have saved themselves this headache if they had been doing this and this and this and type of stuff. So I meant to write it down and look it up. I'm drawing a
All right, it's
blank
easy
on
to
the
do, and it
exact.
auto loads to podcast. You don't have to pay attention to it. You just know it's just go click on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
also
yeah,
feel like
was
you're
trying to remember
forecasting a
some
little
phone
bit
number
or foreshadowing maybe some things that are coming from CIQ in terms of security. So stay tuned for
yeah,
that.
yep. And then as far as YouTube is concerned, um, I do like to listen to first is
CIQ.
Tom.
Just kidding.
Well, CIQ, of course. Yes, that's on the top. Then there's folks such as Tom Lawrence. I
Mhm.
like to listen to him. He usually is very informative and goes into details. So uh, that's another channel I'm subscribed to besides CIQ. Um, so as far as that was a question, right? Podcasts,
Mhm.
YouTube.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
So outside of YouTube and things of that nature, what is a gadget? What's your go-to gadget? You can't live without it. Gotta have it.
It's changed over the years. Uh, I was trying to give that some thought. If anything, okay, when I go to travel, I always bring an Ethernet cable. I don't know why. It's just, yeah, network cable
I mean, I
because,
know what it is,
I,
but
I
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know why you would
I
bring
Oh, it is.
did right up until it stopped being on
have it.
my laptop, and now I don't. But I still have a nice huge box
I,
full of them.
yeah, I think it was just scars from traveling in the past.
Right, I was gonna
Go
say, like,
down to
is there anywhere
Mexico
even to
and
plug
there's
it
nothing
into anymore?
Wi-Fi
Oh,
and you need to connect right in. Back in the day, it was well. Anyways, that's going way back. But yeah. So just carrying around a cable. Sometimes I would carry a crossover cable. So if I need to connect to another computer, I could do that without any switches or anything in there.
I was turning to look in my drawer to see if I still had my crossover cable and it ended up being USB to serial connector so that you could actually get in at that point in time, a Solaris box. But I have had it in this drawer and I recently cleaned it out for a long time.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I was thinking, like, I haven't needed these things for a while. Um, I think of all tools right now, it's become the phone.
Mm,
The phone, because yeah, I find that even if I'm trying to help somebody on their machine or uh, look up information, you can download the drivers, uh, transfer it to that was the other thing I was thinking of, maybe a flash drive, um, maybe even an external portable drive, just so that if I need to download something, I can transfer it. If the machine I'm working with is not connected to any network connectivity.
Mhm.
But I guess it probably phone nowadays is so
To go to
versatile.
say do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And phone charger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't leave home without that.
Talk about the chargers. Seriously. And you have a teenager, so you know what I'm talking about. They do not go anywhere without a charger, man.
Nope. Nope.
And
Not at all.
everywhere they go, do you have a charger? Do you have a charger? They're
Yeah,
always
in the car, right?
Yep.
Connect it right
Oh,
there.
that's awesome. Okay, so let's get back to open source projects. If you had to pick a favorite open source project, you don't have to pick one of ours, but right? Which one would it be, and why does it resonate with you?
I've already talked about it.
PBS.
The Asterisk one. Just because I've used, I even have it here at my house still, running my phone system here at the home.
Very cool.
So that one, I've even run it up in the cloud, right? In the past. So, besides that, I say recent open source stuff. Besides, of course, Rocky Linux is my favorite OS, but I really got into Werewolf Obtainer. I was really enjoying using that as well. Provide some solutions and even solve some stuff just to do stuff that I needed to get done. But I would say of recent projects, those.
So
Yeah.
you there was like a little hint of some Ansible. Have you played around with Ascender yet?
I've looked at it, and yes, that is on my list to start playing with it. Definitely. In fact, I have plans to try to get that, yes, I'm definitely. Ansible is the reason why I brought up Ansible is I was using Ansible at my last job all the time. I love that thing. So
Great tool.
that's probably one of my toolkit things that I would need nowadays, is Ansible. So Ascender definitely is on my list. I have started to look at it. I've started to look at the installer. There was something that there was something recently for AWS. We were helped set up an environment so that one of our SAs could install Ascender on it. So definitely I have in that sense worked with Ascender, but not directly with the installer yet. But it's definitely up there. I've been looking at it in the last 2 weeks, so I'm not doing this just because we're on the webinar.
Coming
No
I
soon.
have
pressure.
Coming
definitely.
soon.
So
Need more
just
time,
curious.
Michael.
Yeah, I mean, so like the Ascender and the way that we've built it makes the installation a lot easier. But like, do you have a frame of reference? Like, did you ever try to install what is it,
AWX.
AWX or anything like that before? And like,
No, I
okay,
never used AWX.
well, because it's kind of weird that you say, oh, it's
I'm
easier. But
sometimes
like,
the old
never,
school guy. I'm at
yeah,
the command line.
yeah, that's it.
So
Happy place.
download from Git, run it right from my virtual machine on my laptop. But that's for smaller environments, smaller, right? But times have changed, and
Yes,
Sender
they
is
have.
definitely, something that you can't ignore. You definitely is becoming one of those things you need within your organization.
Keeps you from having unchecked automation in your environment and enterprise.
Yep.
It can get out of control, scary very fast.
The compliance part alone, right? That's where Ledger comes in, right? To know what. So it's definitely something that is crucial nowadays, because you're going to be asked, how do you know that you're up to date? How do you know that you've applied this or that? How do you know that the configuration is the way you left it?
Mm-hmm. And security, talking about security, they're going to want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Frequently.
Exactly. Yep.
So Michael, One last question before we
Sure.
go. If you could go back in time and tell your younger self one piece of advice, just one, what would you tell yourself? It's tough.
You know,
Just say one. It's tough.
and I've given that a lot of thought, and I keep going back and forth. You said just one. That's why it's like,
All right, maybe two. Maybe two.
yeah. Nah, just one would be the main thing that I think I would tell my younger self is don't over stress. It's important to take things seriously, but when things don't quite work out, it's okay. It's a learning experience. There's usually always a solution. Might not be the original solution, but I'm thinking IT, right? The IT side. Okay, that didn't work. We'll find another way around it. Don't get yourself worked up and stressed out about it. So I don't know. That's just
No,
one of the
it's
first things
fantastic.
that came to my mind.
It
And
reminds me of it.
just keep learning. Keep trying to grab what you can because you don't know. Technology changes so fast. You don't know which way. Okay, this is where I was going today, but I need to be able to pivot and go this direction because that's where everything's going.
It reminded me when you said that, Michael, about don't stress out. When I first started consulting in the .com space, I was freaking out because we had a website that was down, and my manager that I didn't know very well, hadn't been there very long, walked in. He's like, "Why are you so stressed?" It's like, "Well, it's down." He's like, "Dude, we're not saving lives. It's just a website. Chill out." It's like, it's great. He's right. So
Exactly.
I'm with
You
you.
take it personal. It's like, but I'm responsible for this.
Yes.
And it's like,
Absolutely.
okay, you'll fix it. One thing I appreciate from my prior boss, he was, when something was going on, okay, what do you need? When do you think you'll be ready by? Okay, I know you'll fix it. And then you go away.
And then he would go away.
Well, not go away, but
That's what supposed to mean, Rose.
let you be on it.
I feel like that was personal.
Zane, take note.
I feel like that was personal. Wow.
Uh-oh. What am I doing? Causing trouble here.
All right.
Oh man, Michael Young, what an absolute joy and pleasure to hang out with you. I hope that I get to see you in person at some point, maybe at some conference or some, company thing that we're doing or whatever. That's always nice. But
Yeah, that would be
thanks for
awesome.
joining us.
No, thank you for the invite.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you very
All
much,
right, you
Michael.
guys. So, sorry.
Nope. I was like, always great to see you, Michael. Appreciate you.
Yep. Same here.
Pleasure. So make sure that you guys like and subscribe. We actually do have a podcast as well, Flops and Threads. So you can check us out on the podcast. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Twitter. We are all over the place. So make sure you like and subscribe. And again, the 100th subscriber on YouTube.
1,000.
Did I say 100?
1,000. You said 100. It's 1,000.
100,000. No,
I know what you meant.
1,000. We're going to be picking a lucky winner to win the Rocky Linux backpack. Very exciting. So thank you guys so much. Again, we will be back here next week. Same time, same place. You have a wonderful day. And make sure to stop by CIQ.com if you have any questions or want to know more about the cool stuff that we're doing in the community and making your lives easier. Thanks, Michael. Bye.
Yep.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye-bye.